the new features that we have that is going to be coming out on Friday, currently right now we're calling it our communication assistant. That name is to be determined. Hopefully we'll have that name decided by end of week. What this new communication assistant will do is it's replacing your email template and giving you 3 options for communicating with your customers. So we've made a change to the actual name of the email templates under admin master file. It's no longer called email template, it's called communication template. And then it now includes 3 options for communicating with your customers. Whether you want to use this on one communication template or split those out between different templates. My example that I am showing you today has one communication template with 3 different options enabled. So you're going to see email, voice, and text. Just like the options indicate, a voice message is an outgoing voice message connecting to your customer with some options associated with this voice message. The text, just like it sounds, it will include this text message. We'll have new options for indicating the contact that you want to use, the type of contact, and also the variables here to indicate the option as far as which contact to use for which template. So I'm going to show you those options up here on the contact tab. I have a customer selected here. And on the contact tab, we do have new options. We have the include in email, which has always been there. We now have an option that says include in text, indicating that this contact should also be included in text, and include in voice for that same obvious option there, that you want to include this contact in any voice messages going out. Now on account detail, I do have my BID Business Insight dashboard customer set up with basically one primary contact that's doing all 3 options here. So my Mary Smith contact, it does have a phone number that is specific for a cell phone number, that it will do the voice and text to the same number here. I'm just going to go through a couple of options that I had previous to set up for this call. The first one that you see here, it's doing all 3 options in this communication. And again, you have the email, outgoing email, the outgoing voice message, and the text. Now you can do those all 3 in one communication, or you can do separate communications for that, or separate activities. You have new icons to indicate what type of activity this is. So we've got new filtering capabilities based on the voice or the text option, and the email icon has always been the same. Now when you're doing the communicate, I'm going to show you just a manual communication. When we're talking about this, you have the same options for the automated communications in the same manner that we've done automated emails. So everything that I'm showing you here is applicable for automation as well. So I'm just going to quickly go through an example, and then we'll open it up, unmute everybody. We can talk about this and also start reviewing the Slack questions. So on my email tab, I'm just selecting that template associated with that communicate that I had set up. And again, this is the email template that I had previously shown you here with all 3 enabled. I'm also going to include a voice message to this customer. By selecting that email template, it's going to default in that contact that I want to use. And then also the same thing for a text. So in this scenario, I'm doing all 3. I want to make sure that I hit the customer in every possible manner to get them aware of their account balance and information. And it's basically that simple from a manual communication perspective. Like I said, you are going to have the same options for automated emails. So when it comes to the automated emails, you'll see the same options when you're setting up those action codes for those credit class processing. And you can indicate whether you want separate action codes for each one of those, if you want to identify them separately, or you can have them all go out with that same action code. All right, I want to keep my little demo brief. I know we've got already a question associated with that. I'm going to read the question out loud. This is from Dawn. I'm going to read your question out loud, and then I'm going to unmute. We're going to have everybody unmuted so we can just open this up. We have a separate field where we can enter cell phone as well as an office phone. We have some dealers with both. So yes, I actually have the engineer that helped design this new communication assistant. So Don, you actually have a very good question. We just spoke about this briefly this morning. And I'm going to have him talk about this because there are some things that we are going to be putting in place after this first release.
Yeah, so this is Dave. We've thrown around a couple ideas. One would be adding a new field for cell phone. Another option that we had talked about is a box or a flag that we would test to see if that number is text capable. But we haven't quite decided yet which one we're going to go with. But it sounds like you want a separate field for it based on the question.
And we're gonna go through and unmute everybody so we can just have an open discussion on this. Sorry, just bear with us for just a moment. Hey, Dawn, you should be unmuted. If you want to try unmuting your microphone.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you are. Hi, Dawn.
Okay. Hi. We definitely would like to have separate fields because there's times when you need to call the office versus their cell phone.
Yeah, certainly the
system, we have that separate.
Okay. So one of the hurdles that we have to come up with is how that information is getting in there, whether it's coming from UDF, because Contact, as it stands, syncing with the ERP, does not have a separate field for cell phone.
Yeah, and Dawn, you're in Epicor, correct?
Yep, ours has a separate field.
And they indicate whether it's cell phone or type of phone number?
We have phone, let me look and see. We have, it says phone, extension, fax, cell phone.
Okay.
So in some cases, some would store it as a separate field in the ERP. Some ERPs may store phone numbers associated and a type. So there is some technical issues that we would have to address during the sync process. Certainly adding a phone field that could be manually updated or updated through some UDF. Those are the hurdles we would have to work through as to how best to bring that information in.
And Don, I appreciate your question because what we're looking for is we want feedback from our users on this user group, interest in the product. I'm very excited about this feature that we're putting in the release on Friday. Is this something that you think that you would be interested in using, Don?
Yes. Yeah, I probably wouldn't use it for all dealers, but there are definitely some I would love to blast.
Via text, is that correct, or phone?
Both. I would do all three for certain customers.
Good to know. So you definitely see a benefit to this then, Don?
Yep.
Okay, good. Thank you. Others that have questions on this new feature, interest in that? I know we've got a lot of users on the call today. If you're having any issues with talking or microphone, you can always type it into the chat, and I can read it out loud. It sounded like somebody had a question, just having a problem with the feedback on the microphone. You want to go ahead and type any question that you have into the chat? Well, nobody has any questions on the features, don't feel comfortable talking about it, whatever you know, if you're having issues, technical issues, you can always follow up with Amanda after this with an email clarification on questions that you may have. You can always shoot me an email direct as well. We are going to, if nobody has any questions, we're going to switch over to Slack as far as, we also have the newsletters that was sent out this month. The other thing that I want to point out on the newsletter is we do have Innovate coming up. It's our in-person user group. It's in September. The users that are on this call, I want to encourage everyone on this call to at least consider coming to our in-person user group. We've got some great new exciting things coming up. This is one of the features that we're rolling out, obviously on Friday, but we've got a lot of new changes coming out. If you did not get a copy of that newsletter this month, please reach out to myself or Amanda. We can get you that information, the links associated with that, along with any information around this feature or anything else related with Anyspin Collect. Hi, Naomi. I'm going to just read your question out loud. Joined a few minutes late. Can you revisit the voice feature? Yeah, thanks for the question, Naomi. So we originally had just a communication, a voice connection previously. So the voice that's associated with this new communication assistant is going to include a call connection, correct? I'm just looking at it.
Yes, it makes an outbound call to your customer.
It does that call bridge.
Well, it's not a bridge because it's not connecting you to the customer. It's just making a call and giving a message that.
Are we going to be doing that like we did before? So, sorry, everybody, I'm just clarifying with that.
With the IVR options on there, they could connect back to an agent.
Okay. So make a call.
Oh, you're talking to click to call?
Thank you. Click to call.
Click to call.
That is also available.
That is in there.
Yeah. So, and sorry, I was just clarifying, Naomi. When it comes to the communication, as far as the phone piece of it, we do have a click to call. So if you have users in the system, and you click on the communicate, I'm not sure if I
communicate when you bring up the contacts, you can call contacts.
Yeah, so if we're doing the view contacts here, if your account is enabled for this feature, you can make a call, click to call from here. This assistant will basically do a call bridge. I don't know if that's a correct technical term.
Sure.
Connect up with your user. It'll record, transcribe that phone call, and save that activity for you. You also have that incoming call associated with, and this was our original feature from a couple years back. So that's still out there and enabled. The other part of the voice is the outgoing voice messaging that we were talking about as far as this email template. So this voice message, you can do this whether it's an automated, like through the workflow, automated workflow credit class processing, or you can manually send this voice message out there by selecting this voice message tab, selecting your template, or even typing in what that voice message is, selecting your contact with that associated phone number, and saving that communication. So in this case, if I wanted to, just like send in a manual email, I could send a voice message just simply by doing a new communicate, typing in the phone number and the text that you want to send it, and click save. Yes, thank you, Dave. So along with that voice message, because I just showed you the text, there are snippets available, and I'm going to just show you from my communications here what these snippets are associated with this. Of course, that was the text one. Let me just go back to the voice one. So again, this is just outgoing phone messages to your customers. Some of the snippets that are associated with that are basic customer level snippets that if anyone's using auto emails with the snippets, I did have some snippets included in here for the total outstanding balance, the currency. And then we also have these options. So when the voice message connects, has a successful connection to the customer, they have options of, the example here is 0 to repeat the message, 1 to confirm that they did receive the message, or 2 to contact a representative, which would then connect the user, that phone call, back to the collector assigned to this customer's account. So there's a lot of features going on with not just the voice, but including the text, very similar to what we're doing with automated email. but it's a lot more than we had in the past as far as we basically have added these outgoing messages with options to your customers. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Interested in something like that?
The voice message feature, for sure. The text message feature, both of them.
Okay, thank you. That's Naomi, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Naomi. I'll have Amanda follow up with you on some specifics on that. Like I said, we're rolling this out for Publish Live on Friday. We do have one customer that's going to be using it immediately. But if you're interested, we can definitely get you queued up for this as well fairly quickly. Any other questions on this new feature?
Yeah, this is Claire from the NNA.
Hi, Claire.
Yeah, I would definitely use this.
And would you be interested in all three features? Something
I would.
specific or?
Yes, but
Okay, good.
like after the billing goes out, the first of the month, I would love to have this, like our top 15 or 20 customers that I have to manually dial and say, hey, what's up? I could just send this and let it fly.
Absolutely.
But how would you know? How would you know if my customer has a phone number at a company and an extension, but they're on the phone and the receptionist answers the phone and needs to transfer and they say, do you want voicemail? How does that all work?
Well, if it's one of the outgoing messages, that's going to be one of the caveats, because again, it's just a message that it's going to play. So when we view a connection, and again, I'll have Dave correct me if I'm stating this wrong, no matter if it's a voice system that picks up the call or a receptionist that picks up the call, it just starts playing that message regardless. We view that as somebody picked up the phone, it's a successful connection.
Okay, so I would then get a message back that a successful connection was made?
That's correct.
Oh, that's just awesome. That's exciting. I like.
Yeah, thank you, Claire. Yeah,
You're
I'm
welcome.
I'm very excited about this.
I haven't even thought that was a dream. Never thought how that would happen. Yeah, it's good.
Thank you, Claire. And Mauro, I see that you're interested in this too. I actually thought of you for things like the text messaging. I was hoping you were going to be on this call today. Do you have any specific questions? We'll definitely follow up with you with more information on getting this service in place for you. If anyone on the call, if you have any feedback, I know this is kind of a brand new feature that's out there, but we're always looking for feedback. Again, we're going to be adding new things on top of what we're already introducing on Friday. So there's definitely going to be things that we're going to be adding and improving upon. So having your feedback, not just after this call, but going forward is definitely helpful for these types of things. Anyone else as far as interest in this new feature or questions regarding that before we go to Slack? All right, you guys, thank you for all your feedback on that. I was very excited about that. Good to hear from you. Thank you, Dave.
We're going to switch over to Slack, but just as a reminder, some of you guys are putting your enhancement requests in the general forum. But if you could, we would prefer it under the user group forum, because that's when we go over it, is during these user groups. But we will go over those today since we're here.
So I'm going to read this. I'm going to start with the May 22nd one here. Martine, I don't know if you're on the call today. I'm just going to read this out loud. Please add the user status to the communication view so we can build filters. And I believe the user status is related with possibly active or inactive users. This is something that we've had out there for a while. Anyone that's interested in I need to get that queued up in our development cycle. We have a lot of master files that are out there, and we don't have visibility on ones that may not be active or inactive. We started adding some of that with that email template or the communication template now. But this is a very common problem for those of you that have lots of users, lots of turnover. So right now, if you have inactive users when they leave the company or a different role in the company, you create a new user, that drop-down list for whether it's a communication or inside the follow-up, there's no visibility on who's active, who's inactive. So I think what we're looking for is feedback on, in this specific case, a way to filter out the user status within that communication view. So we have visibility on possibly inactive users with open communications or open activities. I don't think Martine's on the call today, but if anyone else has feedback on that issue.
I actually talked to Martine regarding that issue, and she also was talking about in the communication and the follow-up screen,
Yeah.
being able to either hide inactive or show your status there too, so that when you create the communication, if you have a lot of turnover, you don't necessarily know that person's no longer in that role. You do get to see that they're inactive.
Yeah, because I talked about this internally with development as far as, especially around a user that goes inactive, because we do a lot of activities, assignments based on auto assignments, filtering criteria. So when we talked about making the user inactive in this issue, we talked about adding a reassignment to, if you put a user inactive, an option to select another user for all those activities to be pushed over to automatically. Because part of the problem, and I know in this case, they could have outgoing emails and a customer may not respond to those emails until 6 months after the user's gone or made inactive. So they end up with an incoming email that nobody sees because it's against a user that's inactive. So we also talked about having an auto assignment for any of those current activities or possibly new activities related with an inactive user. So thanks, David, for that. Yeah, anyone else that has feedback on that, definitely needed. More feedback definitely pushes it up in the development cycle. Yeah, I'm going to go back. Mauro, I appreciate your feedback. I know you're interested in this new feature. Mauro's feedback, in their situation, their customers are old school, so running a survey for a couple of months to see how many of them would use that service. And Mauro, you actually bring up a very good point, and I know you're very good with using those automated emails for these one-time email blasts. You've actually become very creative and provided other customers that work with Anytime Collect feedback on how you do that. So I appreciate you saying that, because I like how you basically send out a notification to all your customers to say, this is a new feature. Are you willing to use this new feature? And if so, update your contact information. So anyone that's using automation, especially automated email, in this case, we're doing a lot more automation, but you can always do these blasts to your customers. It's just another way that you can use Anytime Collect with the contacts that you have to get information out to those customers of yours. So thanks for that feedback, Mauro. Okay, I'm going to read this next enhancement request from Andy. The ability for customers to update their contact information through the portal, and the ability for customers to message through the portal and notifications sent to the admins about a new message. Where can they respond by email or respond through Anytime? Andy, I know you have an open project, and I appreciate you getting on Slack, being part of our user group. I actually have quite a few requests for updating some information through the customer portal, and one of those is contact information. And I'm hoping that we're going to be pushing that through. I'm hoping in the next dev cycle to do a lot more things on the customer portal, including updating contact information. As far as the second part to your question, the ability for customers to message through their portal, they currently have that ability. There's a message button right in the portal. That message button creates an activity for the user that customer is assigned to, and it makes it a follow-up due immediately. If you're not familiar with that, you can definitely work with your consultant. I believe that consultant is Lisa. She can provide additional information around how that works and how to respond to those messages. So it's definitely something, some of that we are currently taking care of, but we definitely want to update our customer portal for enhancements for your end customers to be more self-serve, self-sufficient around updating contacts, dispute management, things like that. Hey, Tanya, I see you're on the call today. Just want to make sure You're there, you can hear us, you can talk. Do you have any questions that you want to bring up? Okay, thanks, Tanya. Appreciate you being on the call today. I'm going to open it up to everybody. I really appreciate everybody, taking time out of your day, getting on this call. Like I said, we do have a lot of new changes coming up. If you did not get a copy of our newsletter, please let me know. I can forward you a copy directly. We can always send you the information that you may be missing out on. I don't want you to miss the next couple of months. We are rolling out quite a few changes. And again, we do have our in-person user group, Innovate, this September. We're inviting all customers to be a part of that in-person user group. We're going to do it slightly different this year, but we're actually really excited about it. We have a new venue. We've got a lot more information in that newsletter. I can also send you a link if you're interested in being a part of that or just getting more information. Any questions, comments, any issues anyone wants to bring up, talk about?
Hey, this is Louise from Dude Solutions. How are you?
Hi, Louise. How are you?
I'm good. I was curious about one of the enhancements that we had requested about updating one of our UDF fields for our Ship2 company name.
Yeah.
Do you have any feedback or status on that?
Well, I know there was some back and forth on the specific fields you were looking for, and I thought I had sent that information over to you. Are we still having issues getting that correct field updated?
Yeah, I did send the information on which UDF field we wanted to use for that. I know that there was a miscommunication on my part as to which field we wanted to use. So I think that probably pushed our timeline back because of that mix-up. So I was wondering if there was any information about the schedule for the backlog.
Well, as far as that specific field, it's available to put out there for you. I think the last thing that we bumped up against is we ran out of the number of UDFs. I think you were looking for an invoice level UDF for this specific field, and I think you had maxed out on the 10 that we have currently available. The last I'd heard, we were looking for possibly replacing one of the existing with that one. I'll follow up with you on that ticket just to make sure, because we do have the field name. You can have it. We just have to figure out where you want to put it as far as what invoice you have to put it in.
Okay, that ticket number is 9304.
Okay, Louise, I will follow up with you directly after this call just to make sure we get it taken care of. But definitely take a look at your invoice UDF because I think you were maxed out. And I thought we had determined which one you wanted to put it in. But I'll follow up with you directly after this call.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for being on the call today, Louise. And so, you know, I know we've had a request for adding additional UDFs because, again, Anytime Collect currently is maxed out at 10 per entity. When I say entity, customer, contacts, invoices, and payments. We basically have a limitation of those 10 UDFs. So we've actually talked about adding additional UDFs out there. Haven't gotten as far as queuing that up in a dev cycle, but I know that they're very popular. And so, Louise, I'm hoping sometime in the near future we can have more of those so we're not limiting you as far as those UDFs are concerned. Any other questions? Anyone that has any issues that hasn't been addressed or that you'd like to bring up on the group?
This is Louise. I have one more that I'd like to ask about.
Yeah, please.
We have found that our clients are successfully making payments through credit card payments through the portal, which is great. And we know that we need to update our messaging, our documentation to let them know that they need to enter that information within 10 minutes. Otherwise, the connection expires.
Yeah.
What we've noticed, though, is that they can see timeout or a technical error, which I'm not sure anybody can do anything about, unfortunately, but I was wondering if there's been any research done into that.
As far as like a technical difficulty there or something like that when they're trying to make a payment on the portal?
Yeah, sometimes the SoluPay window brings up a technical difficulties error when it actually is a timeout because they took too long entering the data. So, and they say that they cannot fix it.
I'll follow up internally on that specific issue, Louise. I know we had talked about, and they even have a project out there for trying to extend or having some option to extend that timeout time, just to be able to set it for either, I don't know if we were talking about manually setting that time or just expanding that timeout, because I know we have a dev project out there to look at addressing that. Specifically related with this, but I wasn't aware that they were getting technical difficulties, and that's on the payment page window, the actual SoluPay window, and that's when they're seeing that when it times out, they're getting that message.
That's the thought, yes, because this is different. That's actually different from the timeout error in ATC when the credit card is actually declined. So.
Yep. Yeah, let me, because I'm going to be having a meeting later this week with SoluPay, so I'll bring that up, ask specifically about that, because it is within their window versus a timeout between the SoluPay window and us getting our information back. That's the other timeout no response that we get. If there's too much of a delay between the time that they have the window, SoluPay window open up and the time that we're waiting to get that information back. So that is slightly different. I'll definitely bring that up and see if I can get a better answer for you on that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks again, Louise, for being on here and providing us some input feedback. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Questions? Issues? I don't want to keep everybody on here. I do appreciate everybody getting on this call. Again, you know, just taking the time out, seeing our new feature. Definitely keep your ears open for new things, new announcements coming out. It's coming through our newsletter, coming from Amanda. If you have questions, you can always email me direct. Definitely lean on Amanda as well. But just let me know what you guys need and we'll get you taken care of.
And if anyone's not getting the newsletter but would like to, you can email me and I can set that up so that you start getting them again.
Okay, what is your email? Because this is Claire. I would like to do that because I don't get a newsletter.
Claire, I'll write that down. But yeah, my email is just amegger, AMEGGER @anytimecollect.com.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Claire.
Sure.
Anyone else? All right, everybody. Until next time, appreciate you again being on the call. Let us know what you need from our end. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.